Okay, folks, welcome back. So we've set up a bunch of interactions with blueprints, and all of these things are driven by collisions or triggers. I can go around and I can pick up a statue. I can go around and I can hit a teleportation pad that also scales my player, and I can also hit a minimizing pad that teleports my player somewhere else. So within this, I also have the ability to pick up this gun, and when I try and shoot any of these collisions, it bounces off. If I come over here and shoot this one, it'll bounce off as well. So what I've done is I've set our door to be a trigger that receives projectiles so that when I shoot through it, the door is triggered to be open, and I've actually turned off the reverse command that we previously had on that. So let's take a look at that. I am going to start by looking at the level blueprint. So I'm going to go up here to open level blueprint, and that window opened up over here. And I've disconnected our reverse. I'm going to reconnect it and compile it and save it. And then I'm going to take a look at this trigger. So if you select your trigger and you scroll down, I have mine set under collision presets. Under collision preset set to trigger. When I expand this, it will actually tell me what these values are. So my value for trigger is set to projectile is ignore, but it's actually still being triggered. Now, the other thing here is that I can go into any of these blueprints and make any of these work through changing these settings. Let's go ahead and let's take this one and let's edit this blueprint. Okay, so I'm going to go to viewport. I'm going to select the box for collision, and over here in the details, I'm going to scroll down until I hit collision. Here we go. And the default for this is overlap all dynamic. If I open that up, you can see that projectiles are blocked. So I can go ahead and change this to trigger, which is going to mean that projectiles are ignored. If I compile that, save it, and try playing this again. I'm going to go pick up the gun first. Actually, accidentally picked up a statue. And now when I shoot that statue, it's telling me that it's picked up. Now, that's a little odd. I'm not 100% sure why that projectile would be triggering this when it's actually set to ignore. I've also done this on the computers in the school's lab, and it hasn't worked as cleanly as it does on mine. So what I'm usually in the habit of doing is if you're unable to get a collision preset to work, I am used to going to setting this. You set it as closely to what you need as possible, and then you turn it to custom, and all of your settings will be where it was before you changed it to custom, and then you can do something like this where I'm changing projectile to overlap. So if you try setting things as triggers and it doesn't work, try setting projectile to overlap. That will then allow you to collect these statues with this shot. But what if you don't want the statues to be collected? Well, then all we have to do is change that custom back to overlap all dynamic was where it was set before, and overlap all dynamic blocks projectiles. What if I wanted to have these statues not work, but I want to have these teleportation pads work? Well, those teleportation pads were B cube, and I can open that up. I can go to my viewport. I select my collision volume. I scroll down to collision. I set, instead of overlap all dynamic, I can set this to trigger again. And if trigger is not working because it really should be ignored as a projectile, you can set that to custom and make sure that projectile is set to overlap. Let's compile that, save that, move this out of the way, and let's take a look at this. Turn down the volume even more. grabbing that, and then as I shoot this, you can see that it's both being teleported and it's being scaled. Let's see if we can do the same thing over here. Might not be able to see them, but they are being teleported. There, we can see them in the distance. So through that method, if you want to create something where you are sending projectiles through a portal to another location, there's our teleport. If you want to have something that is changing the scale of your projectiles at a certain point, you can also make that happen. And if you want to be able to collect items by shooting them, then you can also do that with these pickups. So hopefully that has been helpful and informative. I'll be continuing to roll out these short blueprint tutorials over the next couple weeks. I'm receiving a lot of questions about how to do different things from my students, and I'm producing these videos to help them make all of these things work in their games. Let me know if you've got some questions too. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.